Imagine stepping onto a basketball court and staring up at a player so massive, so towering, that he makes NBA centers look small. Now stop imagining, because he's real. Standing at an unbelievable 7 feet 9 inches tall, Olivier Rioux isn't just a basketball player. He's a giant among giants, a walking skyscraper who defies everything we thought we knew about the game. But here's the real question. Does sheer size alone guarantee basketball greatness? Or is there something more lurking beneath the surface of this towering phenomenon? Some say he's a future NBA superstar. Others think his size could be his greatest weakness. But one thing's for sure, you won't believe what this 18-year-old can do on the court. The NBA has never seen anything like him, and whether he dominates or collapses under the weight of history, his journey is something you can't afford to miss. Stay locked in, because what comes next might just rewrite basketball history. Some legends are made, others, they're simply born different. And Olivier Rioux, he was never just another kid playing basketball. He was a walking anomaly from the very start. Picture this, a small town in Quebec, Canada, known for its icy winters and its love for hockey. But inside one family's home, something unbelievable was happening. A child, growing at a rate that defied logic. By the time Olivier was 5, he was already taller than kids twice his age. By 10, he was looking adults straight in the eye. And by the time he turned 14, he was already 7 feet tall. At an age when most kids are still figuring out their jump shots, Olivier was looking down at NBA guards. But let's rewind, because this wasn't some random freak occurrence. This was destiny written in his DNA. His father, a towering 6 feet 8 inches. His mother, an incredible 6 feet 2. The Rioux family wasn't just above average, they were built different. But Olivier, he took things to an entirely new level. Scientists call it genetics. Coaches call it a gift. Opponents, they call it a nightmare. But Olivier's height was just the beginning, because unlike so many giants before him, he wasn't slow, he wasn't clumsy, and he sure as hell wasn't just a sideshow. No, Olivier was growing into something far more terrifying than just a tall kid. He was growing into a force. And the world? It had no idea what was coming next. But before we talk about what Olivier became, let's talk about how he got there. Because his rise to basketball superstardom didn't just happen overnight. It was a journey filled with unbelievable milestones, jaw-dropping moments, and the kind of dominance that left crowds speechless. From breaking world records to stepping onto the court with some of the best young talents in the game, Olivier's story isn't just about being big, it's about becoming unstoppable. And trust me, this is only the beginning. Let's get one thing straight. Being tall alone does not make you an elite basketball player. History is filled with giants who stepped onto the court and faded just as quickly. Too slow, too stiff, too uncoordinated, just another novelty act. But Olivier Rioux, he was about to shatter that perception in a way that no one saw coming. Because when this 7 feet 9 inches titan moves, he doesn't move like a towering spectacle. He moves like a basketball player, and that's what terrifies opponents the most. At first, people thought they knew what to expect. Oh, he's just a tall kid. Put a little pressure on him and he'll fold. But then the game started, and suddenly, doubt turned into shock. Olivier wasn't just some awkward big man who stood under the rim waiting for easy layups. He was running the floor like a forward, timing blocks with surgical precision, and snatching rebounds like a human skyscraper. And then he started passing, and that's when the real panic set in. Because big men aren't supposed to have court vision. They aren't supposed to have soft hands and quick decision-making. But Olivier, he's different. He sees the game. He processes plays before they happen. And when defenders think they've got him trapped, he delivers a perfect dime to a teammate for an easy bucket. And here's where things get even scarier. He's working on his jump shot. That's right. A 7 foot 9 inch colossus learning to shoot from distance. If that shot becomes consistent, we're talking about a game-breaking weapon. A player so unstoppable that defensive schemes will have to be rewritten just to contain him. But let's be real, the NBA isn't just about offense. If you can't defend, you're a liability. But Olivier, his defensive presence is nightmarish. Picture this. A guard thinks he has a clean drive to the rim. He takes off, full of confidence, only to see a gigantic shadow swallow him whole. Before he even realizes it, Olivier's arm extends. The ball vanishes from his fingertips, and the next thing you hear, the roar of the crowd as the ball flies into the stands. That's not just height, that's timing, that's instinct, that's dominance. So, no, Olivier Rioux is not just another tall guy. He's a transformational talent with the raw skills and potential to redefine what a big man can be. The question isn't just if he'll make it to the NBA. The question is, how much chaos will he unleash once he gets there? Or all the jaw-dropping highlights, the viral moments, and the once-in-a-lifetime potential. There's an unspoken truth about being this tall in basketball. It's a gift, but it's also a curse. History has proven it. Towering athletes with freakish size have always had one thing standing between them and greatness: their own bodies. And for Olivier Rioux, the biggest question looming over his career isn't about talent, it's about survival. Because let's be honest, 7 feet 9 inches is uncharted territory. The human body isn't designed to move at that height. Every sprint, every jump, every explosive movement, it all comes with a cost. The knees, the back, the ankles, every giant in basketball has battled these demons. Yao Ming, Georgi Muresan, Manute Bol, all of them had monstrous potential, but all of them struggled with injuries that cut their primes short. Will Olivier defy the odds, or is he fighting against something inevitable? And then there's the conditioning factor. You see, it's one thing to dominate at the youth level. It's another thing entirely to keep up with the frenetic pace of the NBA. Today's game is faster, more physical, and built around constant movement. It's no longer enough to just be a towering force in the paint. If you can't keep up, you get exposed. And for Olivier, that means one thing. He has to train like an animal just to keep his body from betraying him. But perhaps the biggest challenge? The expectations. When you stand at 7 feet 9 inches, people don't just hope you'll be great. They demand it. The world isn't looking at Olivier as just another prospect. They're looking at him like a legend in the making. And that kind of pressure, it can break even the strongest players. Every move he makes will be dissected. Every flaw will be magnified. One bad game, critics will call him a bust. One injury, people will start whispering, "We've seen this story before." But here's what makes Olivier different. He's aware of all of this. He knows what he's up against. And instead of shying away from the challenge, he's embracing it, training harder, studying the game, preparing for the war that awaits him at the next level. He isn't just playing for himself, he's playing to rewrite history, to prove that a giant can not only survive in the modern NBA, but thrive. And if he pulls it off, we might be looking at one of the most unstoppable forces the game has ever seen. Every now and then, a player comes along who shatters the limits of what we think is possible. A player so unreal that scouts, analysts, and even NBA executives are left asking one question: is this guy for real? And right now, that's exactly what's happening with Olivier Rioux, because when you're 7 feet 9 inches and still getting better, the entire basketball world takes notice. The whispers started early. At 14 years old, Olivier was already towering over NBA champions. By the time he hit 7 feet 9 inches, the curiosity turned into full-blown fascination. But here's what really changed the game. Rioux isn't just a giant, he's a prospect. His dominance at the youth level wasn't just about being the tallest guy on the court. He was blocking shots, running the floor, and even showing flashes of an offensive game that could evolve into something terrifying for defenders. And guess who's been watching every step of his journey? NBA scouts. Right now, every major front office in the league has Rioux' name highlighted. The potential to draft a true unicorn, a player whose size has never been seen before in professional basketball, is the kind of opportunity that does not come twice. But there's a problem, and it's a big one. Is Rioux NBA ready, or is he just a once-in-a-lifetime experiment? See, the NBA is a league of speed, power, and relentless competition. Players aren't just big anymore, they're athletic freaks. The days of the slow-moving, paint-anchored big man are over. That means teams aren't just looking at Rioux and asking, how tall is he? They're asking, can he keep up? Can he defend in space? Can he shoot? Can he stay healthy? These aren't just questions. They're the difference between being a lottery pick or being an afterthought. But here's where things get really interesting. Rioux knows the doubts exist, and instead of running from them, he's using them as fuel. His time with the Florida Gators isn't just about playing college basketball. It's about proving he can handle the physicality, the competition, and the grind of high-level play. If he dominates in college, the hype will reach insane levels. If he struggles, the doubts will get louder. And the clock is ticking. Because if Rioux declares for the NBA draft in the next year or two, he won't just be another player stepping into the league. He'll be stepping in with a target on his back. So, what happens next? Does Rioux become the tallest NBA player in history and rewrite the record books? Or does the weight of expectation prove too much? One thing's for sure, the entire basketball world is watching, and whether you're a believer or a skeptic, you can't look away. Every so often, the game of basketball gives us a player who feels like they were born to shake up history, a player so unique, so impossible, that their very existence forces us to rethink what we thought was possible on the court. And right now, that player is Olivier Rioux. Think about this. We are witnessing something we may never see again. A 7 foot 9 inch teenager with the chance to become the tallest player in NBA history. But the real question isn't about his height, it's about his destiny. Will he be a superstar, a dominant force that changes the way we see big men in the modern game? Or will he become a forgotten giant swallowed by the challenges of a sport that demands more than just size? Right now, Rioux is on the clock. He's grinding at Florida, silencing the doubters, elevating his game, and proving that he's more than just a towering figure on a roster sheet. The NBA is watching. The world is watching. And one thing is certain, whether he becomes an unstoppable force or the biggest what-if in basketball history, Olivier Rioux' name will never be forgotten. So what do you think? Is Olivier Rioux the future of basketball? Is he the next big thing, literally and figuratively? Or is his journey to the NBA filled with too many obstacles to overcome? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this is a conversation that every basketball fan needs to be part of. And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because this is just the beginning of a massive story. And trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next.